What I relate is the history of the next 2 centuries. I describe what is coming, what can no longer come differently, the advent of nihilism. Nietzsche. Have you ever found yourself wondering if life has any real meaning? If all your efforts, dreams, and struggles are just illusions? You're not alone. Throughout history, many thinkers have confronted this unsettling question, and their answer gave birth to one of the most powerful and controversial ideas in philosophy: nihilism. Nietzsche called it the terrible sense of emptiness we feel when old certainties, such as religion, morality, or absolute truths, crumble. A nihilist is someone who judges that the world as it is should not be, and that the world as it should be does not exist. Therefore, existence has no meaning. A nihilist is a man who judges of the world that it ought not to be, and of the world as it ought to be that it does not exist. Such a man seems not to lack highest values, but rather to see them as unrealizable, which is pessimism. Let us think this thought in its most terrible form. Existence as it is, without meaning and purpose, but inevitably recurring without a finale into nothingness. The eternal return. This is the most extreme form of nihilism. Nothingness, the meaningless, forever. In philosophy, nihilism, derived from the Latin word nihil, meaning nothing, refers to doctrines that reject the values and meanings established by religious, moral, and philosophical systems. A nihilist questions everything, from cultural traditions to the very purpose of existence. This constant doubt can lead to a deep sense of emptiness, where life feels insignificant, often resulting in apathy and disorientation. One of the greatest explorers of nihilism was Friedrich Nietzsche, who shocked the world with a single sentence: "God is dead, and we have killed him." But what did he really mean? An iconic diagnosis of the crisis of traditional values in modernity. Nietzsche is not referring to the literal death of a deity, but to a profound change in Western culture and values. This phrase symbolizes the crisis of certainties and absolute values traditionally linked to religion and metaphysics. The culture of nothing makes sense degenerates into an apology for derision on the one hand, or for violence on the other. The nihilist feels bad if he sees people satisfied, happy, at peace. He loves conflict, war, destruction. With the death of God, Nietzsche indicates that modern man has lost faith in the transcendent values that for centuries have given meaning to life. The Christian religion, the concept of absolute truth and universal moral norms. In a world now dominated by science, rationalism, and relativism, these values are no longer able to support the weight of reality. In short, with this sentence, Nietzsche presents us with a crucial question. How can we live and find meaning in a world where absolute truths no longer exist? A nihilist is a man who doesn't acknowledge any authorities, who doesn't accept a single principle on faith, no matter how much that principle may be surrounded by respect. A nihilist is not one who believes in nothing, but one who does not believe in what exists. A world that surrenders to the conformism of ideas and existence loses the greatness of philosophy, art, and religion, sliding towards a decadence dominated by the laws of the market. This is modern nihilism. Devoid of drama, it becomes a daily habit lived with indifference, accepting the absence of meaning and value. Nihilism? We've sunk so low that even nihilism seems like a value to us. If you gaze long into an abyss, the abyss also gazes into you, or nihilism as a mirror of our fears. Whence comes nihilism, the uncanniest of all guests? Nietzsche calls nihilism the most uncanniest of all guests, because what it wants is disorientation as such. That is why it is useless to show it the door, because everywhere, already for a long time and invisibly, it has been lurking in the house. What is necessary is to notice this guest and look it straight in the face. Martin Heidegger. But nihilism is not just destruction. Some thinkers remind us that from this void a new force can be born. Nietzsche describes two ways of living through nihilism, passive and active. Passive nihilism is like being swept along by the current, giving up, no longer believing in anything. It drains you, leading to inaction and pessimism, what he calls the inability to feel wonder in the face of existence. In contrast, active nihilism drives creation and renewal. It destroys outdated values to make space for new ones, offering a transformative response through art, technological innovation, or activism, such as ecological movements, where the void becomes a catalyst for growth. He who has a why to live can bear almost any how. While Nietzsche often critiqued nihilism, this quote reflects the struggle against its implications. The fear of death follows from the fear of life. A man who lives fully is prepared to die at any time. Every kind of pessimism and nihilism becomes in the hand of the strongest only a hammer and one more tool to acquire a new pair of wings. The absurd is born out of this confrontation between the human need and the unreasonable silence of the world. This illustrates the conflict between our search for meaning and the indifference of the universe. Life is a constant striving, a constant dissatisfaction. It is a waiting for the end. These quotes provide a glimpse into the nihilistic worldview, emphasizing themes of absurdity, despair, and the search for meaning in a seemingly indifferent universe. In his book, The Disturbing Guest, the Italian philosopher Umberto Galimberti sustains that today's youth is confronted with the presence of what he calls a new guest, nihilism. He believes that the existing discomfort among young people does not have psychological roots, its origin being strictly cultural. If the disease is cultural, then the solution should be looked for in culture. This entails, on the one hand, the need to generate a process of renovation, and on the other, to develop the capacity of individuals to provide for new sense in their lives. Nihilism, even before conflicting with the demands and message of God's word, is a denial of man's humanity and his very identity. We must not forget that the forgetfulness of being inevitably leads to a loss of contact with objective truth and, consequently, with the foundation upon which human dignity rests. Pope John Paul II. In Victor Hugo's opinion, with nihilism no discussion is possible. For the nihilist logic doubts the existence of its interlocutor and is not quite sure that it exists itself. In short, no way is open to the thought by a philosophy which makes all end in the monosyllable no to know. There is only one reply, yes. Nihilism has no point. There is no such thing as nothingness. Man lives by affirmation even more than by bread. Don't judge anyone for their nihilism. You probably weren't there when someone shattered their dreams. Thanks for watching. Nihilism is a challenge that shapes our era, but as great thinkers have shown, confronting it can spark transformation. What about you? How do you deal with the emptiness that sometimes surrounds you? If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more content on great thinkers and their ideas.